Hello, my name is Linda. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for your support to both the old and new subscribers. And for the new subscribers, welcome aboard. Thank you. Today you're going to see the nerdy side of Linda. I'm going to be making homemade bread in my bread machine. You will need milk, heavy cream, sugar, salt, yeast, bread flour, and butter. On to the recipe. Since this worldwide virus has been going around, I've been noticing it's harder to find bread on the shelf. So I decided to pull out my bread machine to show everyone how to make homemade bread. That way all you have to do is have the supplies on hand to make it and you're good to go. Now if you want me to do more bread videos, all you gotta do is subscribe and leave a comment in the comment section below to let me know what you want to see. I know I'm going to be doing apple cinnamon bread. I might be doing a cheese type bread in the future too. Let me know if it sounds good. Thank you. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use my bread machine. Each bread machine is set up a little bit different, but a lot of them have these same programs. This is a program button. You scroll through it to see what one over here you want to make. I normally use it on the basic, which is number 1. So number 1 will be the one that I use today. But to see the other ones, you press the button again. The second one is fast bake. The third one is French bread. Fourth one, whole wheat. The fifth one is sweet bread. The sixth one is quick breads. 7 is dough only. You use that to shape your doughs, and you're going to bake them separately, and you can actually finish it up in the oven instead of using a bread machine to bake it. Now if you want to use a bread machine to bake it, it's number 8. But today I'm going to be using 1. That's the basic bread because I'm making white bread. Now over here you have loaf, size, and crust color. And we have 3 different sizes on mine. We have the 1 pound, 1.5, and 2 pound. We want to make sure it's set to 1 pound. And a crust color is tell you how dark a crust you want it. Now since I like it a soft crust, I'm going to have it on light. It's programmed by default to medium, which is a more like French bread crust. So I'm going to go back to the light cycle. So I got it programmed to the basic setting. Loaf side for 1 pound loaf, and crust color is light. Now on to the video. Now I'm letting you look inside the bread machine. And this is a pan. This is a paddle that actually does all the kneading for you. Make sure after you're done breaking your bread, make sure it's not stuck in your bread. You don't want to toss it out because then you'd have to order a new part if you can get this one. Otherwise you might need to get a new bread machine. So it's very important to make sure that's out of the bread. And all it does is snap in. Get it lined up properly, and it snaps in. You get it out with a little handle. Before we get on to the liquid ingredients, we're going over the dry ingredients. The first thing you're going to need is 2 cups flour, 1.5 teaspoons yeast, a tablespoon sugar, 3/4 teaspoon salt. To prep the ingredients for the liquid ones, you're going to need a temperature control, because if it's too hot, it will kill the yeast. Now for the liquid ingredients, we have 2/3 cup milk, 3 tablespoons heavy cream, and 4 tablespoons butter. Now the original recipe called for half and half, but I upped it to heavy cream. And it called for water, and I switched it to milk. Now let's get going. We are going to have to heat up the milk and bring it to temperature so the yeast can survive. It don't like cold temperatures, so we got to heat it up. This is 2/3 cup milk going in, 3 tablespoons cream going in. This is my recipe. And 4 tablespoons butter going in. I'm going to be turning the burner on. And now we're going to melt the butter and bring it up to temperature. The temperature you will need would be between 110 and 115 degrees. So we're going to bring it up to temperature. Right now, it's only on 80 degrees. So we need to melt this. Now that it is melted, I'll be adding the salt and sugar to the liquid. That way it gets evenly distributed. And I just mix that up. Make sure it gets dissolved. Then we'll dump the liquid in, then the flour, then the yeast. The yeast got to go on top. You always have to have the yeast away from the liquid. Now we're going to add the liquid ingredients in. If the water is too hot or too cold, it won't activate the yeast. It will actually kill it if it's too hot. That's why you can't go over 115 degrees. Now we add the flour in. And I covered the water up. And then the yeast goes on top. And make sure it's not in contact with the water. Now we'll turn it on. Close the lid. Make sure it's on your 1 pound setting. I like the crust light. And press the start button. And I'll show you what it looks like while it's kneading. It's doing all the work for us. You can see it's mixing it. It goes through numerous kneads and rises. At least a couple before it's done. They even have a little timer to time it. So if you want to add some nuts to it or anything else to it, you add it at that time. I can't have nuts, so I'm not using that feature. But it'll be done in less than 3 hours. To make sure it's getting evenly mixed up, you can actually open it up and scrape the sides to make sure all the flour gets in. That's all you gotta do. And yes, you can open it up during the kneading section. See, that's what it looks like. Just stop right now for the first rise. It's actually the kneading it again. It already went through a rise. I'll bring you back so you can see what the rise looks like. Now it is rising. You can see it rising. It just clicked on to knead it again. Then it'll rise again. Almost to the top of the pan. It's still rising. It looks like the blob from the movie years ago. But a good tasting one, that is. Still rising. It'll be baking shortly. It is now starting to bake. Now before we get them out, we're going to take some butter and just melt some butter on top of it. I just rub it this way and get it on top. And then I'll finish that once it's out. This is what it looks like done. I'll plate it up for you. This is what it looks like when it's plated. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.